Few cities have weathered as much upheaval and achieved as much glory as Milan. From the collapse of the Western Roman Empire to its rise as a Renaissance powerhouse, Milan's history is a tale of resilience and transformation. Invaded by barbarian tribes, shaped by powerful dynasties, and enriched by trade, Milan emerged as a center of wealth, culture, and innovation. How did this once ravaged city become a beacon of medieval and Renaissance splendor? Let's uncover the extraordinary story. Milan's story begins in the twilight of the Roman Empire. Known as the Mediolanum in ancient times, Milan was a vital city in northern Italy, serving as a strategic military hub and administrative center. For a time, it even held the prestigious title of capital of the Western Roman Empire, from 286 to 402 CE. Its location at the crossroads of major trade and military routes made it a critical stronghold for the Romans. However, as the empire crumbled, Milan's fortunes took a drastic turn. In 476 CE, the Western Roman Empire fell, marking the beginning of a chaotic period for northern Italy. Milan was targeted repeatedly by invading barbarian tribes. The Visigoths, under King Alaric, swept through the region bringing destruction. Soon after, the Ostrogoths established control, followed by a brief period of Byzantine rule during Emperor Justinian's reconquest. The most significant transformation came in the late 6th century when the arrival of the Lombards, a Germanic tribe that settled across northern Italy. Under Lombard rule, Milan became an important regional center. Though the city was no longer as prominent as it had been under the Romans, it began to rebuild, adapting to the feudal structure of the early medieval period. In 774 CE, Milan's trajectory shifted again when Charlemagne, king of the Franks, defeated the Lombards and incorporated their kingdom into the Holy Roman Empire. This brought a new sense of stability to the region and tied Milan to the growing influence of the Frankish and Christian traditions. The city became an essential part of the empire, serving as both a religious and political hub in northern Italy. Despite these invasions and upheavals, Milan's resilience set the foundation for its eventual resurgence. Each wave of conquerors left a mark on the city, contributing to its evolving identity. By the early Middle Ages, Milan had begun to recover its prominence, positioning itself as a key player in the political and economic dynamics of Italy. The seeds of Milan's medieval glory were planted during the turbulent period of barbarian invasions and shifting empires. As the turbulence of the early medieval period began to subside, Milan entered an era of recovery and growth. By the 10th century, the city leveraged its strategic location and resources to become a burgeoning center of commerce and industry, laying the groundwork for its medieval prominence. Milan's position at the crossroads of key trade routes connecting northern Europe with the Mediterranean allowed it to thrive as a hub of commerce. Its markets teemed with goods from across the known world, spices from the east, textiles from the Flanders, and metals from the Alpine regions. But it was Milan's own industries, especially its wool and silk production, that cemented its economic power. Skilled artisans turned raw materials into luxurious fabrics sought after by the wealthy across Europe. With wealth flowing into the city, Milan began to reinvest in its infrastructure. Grand fortifications were built to protect against potential invasions, and the construction of religious landmarks such as the Basilica of St. Ambrogio became a symbol of the city's growing influence. These projects reflected Milan's dual commitment to security and spiritual life, essential pillars of its medieval identity. The rise of trade and wealth also brought a significant social change. Milan began transitioning from a feudal society dominated by noble families to a more complex urban community with powerful merchant classes. This shift wasn't without conflict. The 11th century saw the rise of the commune, a self-governing system where merchants and citizens demanded greater autonomy from feudal overlords. Milan became one of the leading Italian communes, charting its own course and defying the old feudal hierarchy. This newfound independence, however, came with its own set of challenges. Internally, there were struggles between the city's aristocratic elite and the emerging merchant class, each vying for control of Milan's wealth and governance. Externally, Milan faced fierce competition and conflict with neighboring city-states such as Pavia and Cremona, as well as the Holy Roman Empire. The city's defiance of imperial authority culminated in a pivotal moment in 1162 when Holy Roman Emperor Frederick Barbarossa sacked Milan after a prolonged siege. The city was devastated, its walls torn down, and its autonomy seemingly crushed. Yet Milan's resilience once again shone through. In the aftermath of the Barbarossa attack, the people of Milan united to rebuild their city. With the support of the Lombard League, a coalition of northern Italian cities, Milan defeated Barbarossa at the Battle of Legnano in 1176. This victory was a turning point, securing greater autonomy for Milan and re-establishing it as a dominant force in northern Italy. By the late medieval period, Milan had solidified its role as an economic and political powerhouse. The wealth generated from its industries and trade fueled its resurgence, while its defiance against imperial authority underscored its determination to remain independent. Milan's medieval growth set the stage for powerful dynasties and cultural flourishing that would follow in the centuries ahead. The late medieval period ushered in a new chapter for Milan, dominated by the rise of two influential dynasties, the Visconti and the Sforza family. Their leadership transformed Milan into a political, military, and cultural powerhouse, laying the foundation for its prominence during the Renaissance. The Visconti family rose to power in the 14th century, with Adon Visconti becoming Archbishop of Milan in 1277 and consolidating the family's control over the city. Under the Visconti, Milan evolved from a self-governing commune into a hereditary duchy. This shift marked a departure from the city's republican roots, concentrating power in the hands of a single ruling family. The Visconti were ambitious rulers, seeking to expand their territory across northern Italy and rival other powerful city-states like Florence and Venice. One of the most notable Visconti leaders was Gian Galeazzo Visconti, who ruled from 1385 to 1402. He was a visionary leader who sought to unite northern Italy under Milanese rule. Gian Galeazzo's military campaigns brought cities such as Verona, Pisa, and Perugia under his control, significantly expanding Milan's influence. Beyond his conquests, he was also a great patron of the arts and architecture. It was during his reign that the construction began on the Duomo di Milano, Milan's iconic cathedral. The Duomo, with its intricate Gothic design and grandeur, symbolized the Visconti's ambition to establish Milan as a cultural and spiritual center. However, the Visconti dynasty faced internal rivalries and external threats that ultimately led to their decline. The death of the last male Visconti ruler in 1447 plunged Milan into chaos, as factions within the city vied for power. The instability paved the way for the rise of the Sforza family, who would take control and lead Milan into its golden age. The Sforza dynasty, with Francesco Sforza, a skilled military commander who married Bianca Maria Visconti, the illegitimate daughter of the last Visconti duke. Using both his strategic acumen and marital alliance, Francesco seized control of Milan in 1450 and declared himself the duke. The Sforza rule brought a renewed sense of stability and prosperity to Milan, as Francesco focused on rebuilding the city and strengthening its economy. Under the Sforza, Milan became a center of Renaissance, culture, and innovation. Ludovico Sforza, also known as Levica il Moro, played a pivotal role in transforming the city into a beacon of art and intellectual activity. Ludovico invited some of the most renowned artists and thinkers of the time to Milan, including Leonardo da Vinci. It was during his reign that Leonardo created some of his most famous works, such as The Last Supper, painted on the walls of the convent of Santa Maria del Grazie. This masterpiece not only solidified Milan's cultural legacy, but also demonstrated the Sforza's commitment to fostering artistic excellence. In addition to their patronage of the arts, the Sforza family advanced Milan's military and architectural prowess. They fortified the city with strong defenses, including the Castello Sforzesco, a massive fortress that served as both a military stronghold and a symbol of their power. Milan's strategic location and robust infrastructure enabled it to maintain its position as a key player in Italian politics and trade. The Visconti and Sforza dynasties transformed Milan from a fragmented city-state into a unified, thriving duchy. Their ambitions, both militarily and culturally, left an inevitable mark on the city's identity. By the end of the Sforza reign, Milan had firmly established itself as one of the most influential and sophisticated cities in Europe, setting the stage for its continued prominence during the Renaissance. As Milan approached the dawn of the Renaissance, it faced a series of challenges that tested the resilience of the people and rulers. The city endured devastating events from plagues to military conflicts, yet emerged stronger, setting the stage for its Renaissance glory. One of the most catastrophic events was the Black Death, which swept through Europe in the 14th century. Milan, like other cities, suffered immense losses when its population dramatically reduced. However, Milan's leaders took decisive actions to limit the plague spread, including quarantining affected households and fortifying city defenses against disease. These early public health measures, while harsh, helped the city recover more quickly than many of its neighbors. Milan's strategic location also made it a frequent battleground during the Italian wars of the 15th and 16th centuries. These conflicts saw powerful European rivals, including France and Spain, vying for control of northern Italy. Despite periods of occupation and instability, Milan remained a prized possession due to its economic and cultural significance. Through these trials, Milan demonstrated an incredible capacity for adaptation and recovery. The wealth generated from its trade and industries, combined with the visionary leadership of families like the Sforzas, allowed the city to rebuild and thrive. By the late 15th century, Milan had emerged as the center of art, innovation, and power, ready to take its place in the Renaissance spotlight.